KNUS Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning. It is Friday. Yes. 8 o'clock in the morning. If you're supposed to be at work at 8, you are late by 40 seconds by now. This is the Jeff and Bill Show. Oh, it's about to get good. No, not this show. No, I'm talking about the weekend. We're rolling into the weekend fast and furious. Blake Olson's going to join us in a second here in the newsroom. But Jeff and I are going to kick things off after a wonderful, calm discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of debate.
Time to bring it on because
Yeah.
Trump is going after these universities, and I love the New York Times freaking out about academic freedom. Academic freedom! We want to have the freedom to indoctrinate all of the students into radical progressives. Give me a break. There hasn't been academic freedom on college campuses in decades because they're all just Marxist indoctrination factories.
Yeah, and what I want to ask basically, and we're going to get to this, is what are you all so mad about? That's what I'm curious. That the bone
Mad
of contention.
about?
Yeah, what you all so mad about?
Because you're training a bunch of Marxists.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And they're destroying this country.
We're going to go back to hour one and the labels and the content. This is going to be a fun one, my friend. This is going to be fun.
Oh, I think our universities have never been dumber than they are right now. They can't tell you what a woman is. And yet they have billions of dollars, and they're massive hypocrites, too, because they all want to be caring about the downtrodden and those that don't have the money. That, ironically, these universities have billion-dollar endowments. You don't get more elite. So they all sit around talking about the oppressor versus the oppressed, while having more money and acting more like oppressors than anybody else. These universities need to be taken down a notch, and Donald Trump's just the one to do it. We'll get into that now. But first, news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. TGIF 53 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 86 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, FBI Director Kash Patel has formally cut off all ties between the FBI and the Southern Poverty Law Center. They aren't who they say they are. A day before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the SPLC targeted him and TP USA in their Hate Watch newsletter. Elon said that they were guilty of incitement to murder Charlie Kirk. Now they are cut off. Conservative influencer Nick Sorter faces a disorderly conduct charge after Antifa, whatever you want to call Antifa, shoved him into a flower bed and someone threw a punch at him. He recorded Antifa shedding tears after being maced by federal agents. Bill Malugin from Fox News says that he spoke with Sorter after he was released from custody and says he was getting video of the protesters when it happened. He went to jail and out now. Hopefully charges will be dropped. He also took a flag that they were burning, an American flag, and put it out during all this right before he was arrested. Confirmation this morning during this time that the White House is furloughing a third of its staff. All DOJ employees will stay on, along with Russ Vote's 437 OMB staffers. DOJ is exempt so they can continue working for the taxpayers and the American people, making cuts Love it. DJT making it clear why this partial shutdown is happening. It's day 3.
It's politics, and they're doing things and asking for things that you wouldn't want, and most people that are sane wouldn't want, and patriots wouldn't want. They want illegal aliens to get taken care of with health care. And it's not, look, I have a bigger heart than they do, but it's not even that. Everybody in the world is going to enter our country and say, give us free health care, give us this, give us that. It's going to ruin all of the things that we have, all of the plans that we have. Obamacare was never any good, but it subsists. It's there. And everything will be destroyed because no country has enough money to take care of that.
Word on the street, Hakeem Jeffries.
We've never seen anything like this in terms of the pain that has been inflicted on the American people.
And Jeffries, this is the word on the internet, on social media. He's upset with the latest meme, which is classic. You have to see this video. Jeffries is in the Oval Office with 47, and DJT throws a red DJT 2020 hat on his head. It lands on his head. It is so, so good. Here's more of Hakeem.
By Republicans. House Democrats are simply making the case that we need to cancel the cuts, lower the costs, and save health care.
Hakeem Jeffries is banking on Americans being as dumb as Joy Behar. Colorado's federal courts preparing for an extended shutdown. They have a 2-phase plan in place. 47 could void more than $500 million of funding for clean energy projects in Colorado, according to Fox 31. 34 projects are related to Colorado. CSU, the School of Mines, and the Colorado Energy Office are some of the state's institutions facing cuts. After 72 hours in Memphis, the mission seems to be working in one of the most dangerous cities in America. This morning on Fox News.
The arrests so far include a Trende Aragua gang member and a man wanted for rape of a child. Earlier on Fox and Friends, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee called this task force a generational opportunity.
It's really exciting to think that a city that has been held back by crime for so long, right, a great city that has a great future, but that's been held back for so long, is going to have the opportunity for Memphians have the opportunity to live safely again.
That's great news. Sean Combs, a.k.a. Diddy, making a last-minute plea for leniency before today's sentencing. In a letter addressed to the New York judge who oversaw his case, Combs said that he is a changed man and ended the letter by asking for a second chance to lead a better life. Jason Whitlock is trying to create an alternative for the Super Bowl halftime show coming up in about 4 months, and we need to support him.
We need to have a counter event that's positive. I'm not anti-football. I'm pro-football. I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl. You could not pay me to watch this year's Super Bowl. But I'm not going to campaign for people not to watch the Super Bowl. What I am going to campaign for is that no one watch this demonic drag show that they're going to put on at halftime.
He wants to call it the Jesus Bowl, and he already has some people willing to donate a lot of money, so hopefully it happens. CSU at San Diego State tonight, college football 8:30 kickoff. CU at TCU tomorrow at 5, UNLV at Wyoming, Air Force at Navy. That game kicks off tomorrow morning at 10. The Broncos take on the Eagles this weekend. The Tigers, Cubs, Yankees, they're punching their tickets to the division series, and the 49ers win in overtime last night at the goal line. Great defensive line play from one of their defensive linemen, Alfred Collins. Huge play, and the Niners win it over the Rams. 51 in Parker, 52 in Englewood, 53 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area keeps the good times rolling for today and this weekend, but we will be trending a little bit milder over the course of the weekend, especially to close it out on Sunday when highs will be near 70. This Friday, though, sunny to mostly sunny, middle to maybe an upper 80, nighttime lows near 60, near 80 Saturday, some late day showers and thunderstorms.
Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, the White House asking colleges to sign a sweeping agreement to get a funding advantage. The Wall Street Journal reporting that 9 initial schools are invited to join a compact banning the use of race or sex in admissions, freezing tuitions, capping international enrollment, and more. The Trump administration has laid out a set of operating principles that it wants universities to agree to in exchange for preferential access to federal funds. It's a 10-point memo dubbed the Compact for Academic Excellence in Higher Education. Puts forth a wide-ranging set of terms the administration says are intended to elevate university standards and performance. Universities that sign on will get multiple positive benefits. It's like a Trump card. It's like a little Trump club card that the universities will get, including substantial and meaningful federal grants, according to a letter addressed to university leaders. Our hope is that a lot of schools see this as highly reasonable, said a senior advisor for special projects at the White House. The memo demands that schools ban the use of race or sex in hiring and admissions, freeze tuition for 5 years, cap international undergrad enrollment at 15%, require that applicants take the SAT or a similar test, and quell grade inflation. Much of the document focuses on campus political climates, which I'm glad they do because they're miserable little leftist indoctrination factories. But the compact asks universities to ensure a vibrant marketplace of ideas on campus and to bar employees from expressing political views on behalf of their employer unless the matter affects the schools. If you remember, these universities were getting in the habit of putting out political statements. It had nothing to do with the work of the university. It seeks to create a more welcoming environment for conservatives, asking colleges to make governance changes and abolish departments that purposely punish, belittle, or even spark violence against conservative ideas. Bill, I want to go a little bit back in the Wayback Machine, time machine here, to a book by William F. Buckley titled God and Man at Yale.
Yeah.
And William F. Buckley had just graduated. He's like 22, 23, 24 years old. And people don't realize this, but Yale was created as a conservative response to Harvard. So Harvard had gone woke way back then, and Yale was created to be this kind of conservative alternative. And so he writes this book titled God and Man at Yale as a warning to other students, alumni, faculty, that Yale was getting too liberal. And he blamed the notion of academic freedom. And he basically makes the argument that academic freedom becomes this kind of wide open gate to allow universities to basically teach whatever they want. And doesn't even necessarily have to be for the good of the student because, academic freedom. Okay, well, is it actually preparing students to be good citizens? Because that's what education's all about, is to prepare you to be a good citizen. That's why we put money into it as a nation, as a state, as our counties. And so he's critiquing this notion that, you under the guise of 1960s academic freedom, you're not teaching truth. You're not really teaching anything that's relevant. you've allowed a bunch of progressives to take control of the school. And so education's getting worse. It's getting more indoctrinated. Lo and behold, there's a great piece in the New York Times by David Brooks last year about the sins of the educated class. Like, at this point, higher education is 99% progressive liberal when it comes to its faculty. Harvard has 1% conservative faculty. Yale, 1% conservative faculty. That they've become completely captured by the progressive Marxist worldview. The only way that you can advance in higher education is to be openly Marxist. At best, you keep your mouth shut, but you definitely can't be a conservative. The students' bodies are overwhelmingly progressive. The curriculum is driven by a progressive worldview. So are they, one, producing good students? Two, they have a tremendous amount of money and have these endowments and are still taking federal funds. Are they overinflated in how much they cost? And is it right for the Trump administration to step in and say, hey, let's create a compact, and what we're asking for is reasonable to bring about change to these institutions? Your thoughts on the compact, sir?
Yeah, there are some weird ones in there. But here's the question is, help me understand what's the issue. If all that what you said is true about the schools, so what? What's the negative? What's the issue? What's the bad thing that's happening inside the schools because of this?
Sure, they don't produce good students.
I don't know about that. We got a lot of people that sit in Congress and stuff that talk about those Ivy League.
Are you sure you want to use that as an example?
No, but what I'm saying is they use those Ivy League diplomas as credibility to the fact that they are good students, good people. They're going to be good at their job. We also use those very same degrees, especially from these, some of the concentrated in some of that list there, the Dartmouth, the, UPenn, the Southern Cal, the MITs, stuff like that. You use those to gain access and gain those better jobs and use those as credibility. So what? So what I'm curious about is, what is the negative? What's wrong?
Because they're not good students.
It's been disproven. The people coming out of those colleges seem to do just fine. Yeah.
Do just fine.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so
the idea is,
what is the point of education?
To learn. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure where you're going with this. I'm not sure where you're going with this. Tell me where you're going with this as far as the whole purpose, because I'm asking about what's wrong with the schools. And so are the schools not fulfilling their educational requirements? These people seem to be passing the classes. They seem to be getting good grades, and they're going off in many cases to be productive members of society. Chances are, if I had to guess, the number of people that we have that are homeless here in Colorado that are down on the streets right now, there's going to be a minority percentage that hold college degrees. The majority percentage are not going to. So
in your mind, it's getting money.
No, I'm just curious. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to figure out what you think the goal is.
I can absolutely tell you what the point of education is.
Yeah.
To know truth and become a good citizen. What else would it be?
I don't know. I mean, again, it seems very broad, and that seems like open for lots of interpretations. But okay, I can deal with that at that point.
I mean, you send your kids to school to know truth, right? Do students?
I'm not sure. Again,
really?
I will accept that at this point, but I'm not certain that's exactly how I would describe it. The idea of going there to know truth. Yeah, because
tell me what the point of education is.
Here's the reason. Hang on a sec. What I'm saying is I'm having difficulty going with the idea of this big, large generalization, because here's the idea, is that you may disagree on some things that are taught and are learned in that college, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily not true. And so that's idea is that I'm worried that the interpretation of truth is going to be, as we said oftentimes on the show, is going to be dependent upon your view of politics. And that's what I'm worried about. And here's
politics an aspect of it.
Here's my example. My example is, if you are a new Earth creationist, you are going to disagree with the truth of the science classes.
Correct.
You will disagree with that. Yeah, it doesn't mean what science is teaching is untrue, because it is verifiable. It goes through the scientific method. It can be repeated. They can go through that. But someone in that situation will define it as untrue. So what I'm worried about is when we say...
Go ahead.
What I'm worried about is when we argue the fact, or not argue, when we start on the fact that they are going to tell truth, I'm worried that that leaves open the interpretation of individuals deciding what's true. That's what I'm worried about in that situation. Again,
well, of course, it's always going to, and we're going to debate truth.
I don't know. I wasn't prepared to come in here and talk about the larger purpose of education. I didn't think about that, so I don't know. So I will accept your form of definition at this point in here. But even then, so what? I don't see necessarily that a lot of these people coming out of universities are believing things that are necessarily untrue per se. So
I don't think they, in many accounts, don't know what truth is.
Okay.
Right, which is a serious problem. But let's just break it down. Let's get really easy. Okay. Would you send your kids to a school that believed that 1 + 1 is 5?
No, I wouldn't.
Right, I wouldn't either, right? Of course.
But other people could make a different determination.
I'm sorry? Other people can make a determination that 1 + 1 = 5.
No, other people could decide to send their kids to that school.
And you think that would be good for society?
Depends. It depends. Depends on what the motivation is and everything else. There are a number of other academic institutions where I disagree with some of the focuses and motivations, but there's a wide variety of them. And so, but I'm not necessarily convinced that an academic institution that believes 1 + 1 is 5 necessarily creates per se bad citizens. I'm not certain that one falls from the other. It could be true, and it can be true in some examples, but I'm not certain I'm willing to say it's a universal truth out of that. I know I'm difficult.
Well, I'm almost like shocked, because if we have a bunch of people that are running around our world believing non-truths, it's not a good society. So, for instance, if you have a bunch of people that don't believe in gravity and can just jump off buildings, well, we're not going to have a society very long to begin with.
Only if they act on it.
Well, of course.
Only, yeah. But the idea is,
but why would you?
But hang on a sec. I know, but hang on a sec. But an individual, hang on a sec. An individual that doesn't believe in gravity or can't describe it or doesn't understand the mathematical properties behind it still could function in a variety of other jobs. They still could be a productive member of society. They could still be a perfectly fine neighbor as far as mowing their lawn, taking care of things, watching over your house, be worried about the community. They still could be, even though they don't believe in or understand gravity. Even someone that believes the earth is flat could be a good employee depending on the silo they are in, and they could even be a good neighbor, even though you disagree on that basic truth. Yeah, that could happen. That's why I'm worried about dealing in universals in this conversation.
Okay.
I know, it's
Let's
frustrating.
try,
because
no,
we're trying to use universals.
No, we're not. Because for some, you have bought into this idea that somehow you can have different beliefs while still holding on to the idea that there needs to be cultural norms for us to function as a society, and you don't see the problem with that. Logic. Like, you're literally, your logic is, I'm sorry, it's just broken.
Well, see, the thing is this, is that you want to deal in universal and say education only exists to do this, and then I'm going to define what that is, and
Bill,
then
you
I'm going
can't
to
define
discount.
anything.
Hang
You
on.
can't define anything. What is education, Bill? What is education?
Acquiring knowledge and ability and skills, basically. That's what would be my universal, because the idea being...
All right, let's break this down.
Yeah.
Acquiring
knowledge? Knowledge, ability, and skills, yeah.
Knowledge of what?
Depends on what you're studying.
Well, of course it depends on what you're studying.
So there
but
we
what
go.
are we studying?
Depends, because
Anything?
here's the idea. Hang on. Yeah, anything. Yes, anything.
Okay.
Because here's the idea. I could be studying I could go to school to learn how to be an HVAC technician. I can go to school to become a dentist, and I can go to school to become a philosopher. What I am studying and the knowledge I'm acquiring in each one of those situations is going to be situational and different. Fair enough.
Bill, in every single one of those circumstances, there's a set of truisms that are being passed down from one generation to the next. Let's go with very basic HVAC, okay? Hot is a temperature that goes up. Cold is a temperature that goes down. If the HVAC guy doesn't understand that fundamental truth, is he good at HVAC?
No, but show me the school that is teaching that. That in your example, what schools are you leaning in that are teaching something that is
because
that?
It wouldn't be a good school.
No, but show me where's the academic institutions that are teaching something that would be on that level. Because it seems like you're drawing an example. But you're using this as an example, so you're saying some schools are doing this. I'm guessing it's because some schools are teaching things that you don't agree with, not that they may necessarily be untrue. That's what I'm worried about.
So if there was a school that taught that cold is the temperature that goes up and hot is the temperature that goes down, you would say it was a bad school.
And I would say that based on the marketplace, it would go out of business because those individuals that come out of that school wouldn't be able to get the jobs. They wouldn't succeed.
Why would it go out of business?
Because the people coming out of that school wouldn't be able to get the jobs. They're training people to become HVAC technicians, and if you can't have that basic understanding...
And why can't you get a job, Bill? I feel like I'm trying to get here because if you teach untrue things, it actually impacts the world.
Yeah, here's the thing, though, is that I think that we are going to differentiate between ourselves based on what we think are the universal truths. That's where I think this is going, and that's why
Bill,
I'm worried about the idea.
How do we differentiate between ourselves between hot and cold?
That's an example, but there are other exampons inside of our show in which we've differentiated
well, of course
things.
There are.
And so, okay, but hang on, wait,
there is truth in this world.
Hang on. But all I'm saying is, yes, there's truth in this world. Hang on, but okay, this is a way tangent. But if I all of a sudden brought in the idea of either a 2020 stolen election or January 6th, we're going to hear a whole lot of people on the phone line and on the text messages. They're going to tell me what was true about what happened that day without any proof at all. So just because someone or something has decided it's true, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about that's where this gets complicated, if you understand. That's why I'm worried about this. Because people are going to call in on those two subjects, and we're not going to discuss those this morning, but they're going to have very different ideas about what is true.
Credit to you to bringing in January 6th on a discussion about college, but let's get back to whether or not schools that teach untrue things are good schools. Because that's the problem we have with higher education. I know we got phone calls coming in. Bill's got to deal with this. But we're in what's called postmodernity, where we can't even define truth. I got a text message here. What is your definition of truth? Right? Because we've embraced this nihilistic worldview of I can't define truth, you can't define truth, we have no truth, that no truth. You can't have higher education if you don't have truth. The entire foundation of the institutions that we're going to get people together and teach them something requires the idea that you're going to teach them something that's true. What if we got together and taught people a whole bunch of things that were untrue? Would it be a good institution? Of course not. It would not be a good institution. So the entire practice of teaching people is based upon the idea that there is a truth worth passing on to the next generation. Because having good citizens is based upon the idea that those people operate on truth.
I want to revise my definition of education at the core, since we're going to do it large and universal. The definition of education I will use is education teaches you to think. That's what I'll do. If I'm going to do generalizations about the idea if you have truth, I'm going to go education is there to teach you how to think.
About what?
Just whatever you're studying. But again, it's the idea of the critical reasoning and going through it and understanding thoughts and processes and examination that it teaches you. Yeah, how to think, not what, but how.
Bill, you don't see in the underlying assumptions of truth in that statement?
No.
Is there a way to teach people how to think?
Yes.
And you don't see that as a true way to think people on how to teach people to think?
I'm not understanding the statement. I don't understand what you mean
so
by
you're saying
as a
we want
true way to teach people how to think. I don't understand the statement. I'm just looking to teach them how to think, not what to think, because what to think means you're telling them the conclusions. Right. How to think is giving them the skills to examine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there unlimited ways to think about things?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say there probably are. Yeah.
Okay, so what are you teaching people then?
You're teaching them the processes and the procedures to examine ideas and thoughts and things, to go through them. Yeah. And to think about it and examine it.
So process and procedures don't require truth.
I don't understand the...
Right.
What?
So
I don't know where you're going. This is what I think, that you're going to this idea that these schools are not teaching people what is true and making people bad citizens, and so these schools suck. And I think that's where you're going with this.
No, I think
But
that,
where are we going then? Because we seem to be down this rabbit hole of minutia. Can we move forward into some sort of larger academic conversation, because we're lost in this minutia about what's true, what's education, and not, and we're 31 minutes into the hour. And I understand I brought us into this idea that we went into this. I'm just looking at, I'm concerned about definitions. So let's go beyond the definitions, and let's go into the larger conversation about the academics.
What I am pointing out, though, is that you believe that there's a system by which to teach people to think. That fundamentally requires the belief that there is a true way to teach people to think. Because if it's just universal, you think about this the way you want to. You think about this the way you want to. Oh, you think about this the way you want to.
Here's my example.
Then if that's the case, then there's no point in teaching people, because everything's universal to begin with anyways.
There are several different ways to solve math problems. They all work, but there are different ways. There are different ways you can think about solving a math problem. There are different ways you can go about it. They all work, but they're different because people think about math differently and process it differently. So there are different ways to come to the same answer with math. Doesn't make any one of them any less true than the other.
Oh my gosh. It is hard for me to come to the same answer and then hear there is no truth. It is logically inconsistent to say we can come to the same answer and say there is no truth.
I didn't say there is no truth. What you're looking for is a universal. What I said is that finding the answer inside of math can be accomplished through several different paths. Each one of them would
Bill,
be
is 1 + 1
acceptable.
= 2 a universal?
Yes, but how do you get to that? And adding those things together is different. Like if you did 1 + 2 + 15 + 16.
Yes, there's a universal truth.
Yes, but can you do the math problem differently?
Don't care.
Well, that's my point.
Because look,
that's okay.
There's
it's
lots
okay
of processes, Bill.
It's okay
Nobody
you don't care
cares
about my point.
processes. I started this out by saying truth is necessary for good education. And then I said 1 + 1 = 5. And you said, yes, in some capacities that could be. How you operate as a society when 1 + 1 = 5, Bill,
That's incorrect.
is not right.
That is incorrect, Jeff. That's not what I said.
What did you say about 1 + 1 = 5?
I said that it was incorrect, but I could see someone would want to send their kid to that school, and that could be a choice. That's it. That's all I said.
That would be a good education. I'm going to go back to that. That would be a good education. 1 + 1 = 5 is a good education.
Depends on what the person is studying.
Math, Bill. We're studying math.
No,
1
Jeff.
+ 1 = 5.
No, Jeff, that would be bad. But it wouldn't be universally bad necessarily, depending on where they're going. That's it. On what other stuff they're doing.
Why would it be universally bad? What does that mean?
Let's say they're studying to be a sculptor. 1 + 1 = 5 may not necessarily be as important as other theorems and ideas. That's it. That's all I'm saying. That there could be other choices. That's it.
No.
That's all.
What we're talking about is whether or not that's a good education. If somebody gets 1 + 1 = 5, and we send out all of our kids to learn that, or even maybe just a portion of our kids to learn it, they are getting a bad education.
Good. Then what
And
schools are
that
teaching them 1 + 1 = 5?
right
What
now,
schools are doing it? Please tell me.
Right now.
Yeah, right now. What ones?
The idea that we have universities that, one, can't even define what truth is because of this conversation we've had the last 35 minutes, right? This right here is why our education systems are failing, why our universities are producing bad students. It's not clear what truth is. It's not clear what a good education is. We dance all around that 1 + 1 = 5 may be a fine education because it's sculpting. Are you kidding? Let's go to the phone lines. Paige, Denver. Good morning, Paige. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning. I think that some of you, Jeff, you seem to be fighting a battle that has more than one answer. That's like fighting the difference between creation and evolution. Are both of those not +1 + 1 = 2?
All right, they're debated. They're debated, but Paige, is there a truth in all of
Wait
it?
a minute, Jeff. Hold on. It's my turn to talk. The reason you go to school is to learn the value and to learn to make the choices that are best fit for you. It's to learn not the truth, but to learn your truth. And if all the
Your
schools
truth,
are
Paige,
shoving
if your
liberty,
truth is 1 +
the
1
liberal-
= 5,
the
is that
liberal-
good education?
If the liberal is the only way that the schools are teaching, then they're only doing half the job because there's two sides to every coin. And that's all I have
Paige,
to say.
what's this other side of the coin that 1 + 1 = 5?
I never said 1 + 1 = 5.
But you just told me your truth.
No, I told you that you go to school to learn your truth.
Right. So
And
what if somebody's
it's like
truth is 1
arguing the
+ 1
difference
=
between
5,
creation
Paige?
and evolution. Which one's correct? Is creation correct or is evolution correct? Is Republican correct or is Democrat correct? You go to school to evaluate, to learn to make your own choices, not to have
Paige,
something
you
shoved
can't
down your
operate
throat.
as a society on that. Can you make your own choices with regards to car safety, for instance, the engineering of car safety, or are there certain standards we want these?
We're not talking about the same thing.
Paige, in your world, there is no truth because everybody
there is.
has their own truth. The only truth is that everybody has their own
absolutely
truth,
correct.
which is ironically a universal truth.
So are you saying that the only way is creation?
Or is the only way
That
evolution?
evolution doesn't
These
exist?
things you can debate, absolutely. You
But
can
is it one
debate,
truth?
and that's a good
If my
education.
truth-
But
if
if
my
you
exactly
make
one is true.
everything,
evolution and
guys,
your truth
everything
is
in your
creation,
world, there's
does
no
that
truth
make
to
you
it.
right and me wrong?
What's that, Paige?
I said, if your truth is creation and my truth is evolution, does that make you right and me wrong?
Yes.
It does?
Sure.
That's only your truth then.
Why is it? Why?
Because you talk
hey,
to any
Paige,
scientist,
Paige,
and
let's
they
let's
believe-
go,
they
Paige. Let's
believe
go
in
with
evolution.
let's go with this issue. How can both those be right at the same time?
Because of different ways of believing. If a scientist believes that this world was created through evolution, and you believe that this world is created because God created religion, then there's a problem.
So there's
okay?
no
There's
universal
two ways
truth.
Of thinking.
There's
And
no
everybody
universal
has
truth,
to make
Paige,
their own
which is a
decision.
universal
In the
truth.
same way that you can think that you have a Republican, but when all the schools and all your TV and everything has a liberal bias, then you're not teaching the truth. You're teaching what
Paige,
you want
you
people
just
to believe.
told me it's
And
my
that's the
truth and
premise
your
of what
truth,
goes
and
on
then
in
you
a
just said the truth.
communist
Paige, you are
country.
exactly the reason why education has failed so much. You can't put together a single coherent sentence because you believe everything is my truth while at the same time claiming that it's a universal truth. We got to get to a commercial break. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. I think we discovered why we can't hit any of our score standards, our education standards, because everything's my truth. I mean, you have to abide by some universal mathematics standard? No! As Paige said, it's my truth. Let's go to the phone lines. Dave Golden. Good morning, Dave. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. Jeff, I think you're suffering from social elitism. It's just, it's kind of the same when you were talking to the gentleman from LDS, where you had to put in the caveat that you had a lot of, you knew a lot of LDS people who were good people, but you don't necessarily believe what they do. That probably a caveat that didn't need to be in there. There's education is about gaining knowledge, and knowledge is knowing. For me, knowledge is knowing that I don't know all the answers. Therefore, I'm going to continue to educate myself until I die, because I'll never know all the answers. I don't think there's a.
You're educating yourself on answers. Okay, so an answer to what?
Exactly. Because the more I learn, the more questions are generated, and who was it, Aristotle or Plato said, the more I know, the less I realize I know. It's something that you can't.
Dave, what in the world are you talking about? We have kids that are not hitting math and English standards. And you have come into this conversation with, I need to know more of what I don't know.
That is the parents' fault. I have three
Dave,
boys.
you're talking nonsense. You're not saying anything of value. You've talked into total nonsense. Is 1 + 1 = 2, Dave?
Okay. So
does 1 + 1 = 2, Dave?
So if you have 0, 1, 2 plus 0, 1, 2, what do you have?
Dave, I'm asking you, does 1 + 1 = 2? Guys, I think I've stumbled into exactly why nobody can meet any type of standards anymore at all.
Because
you guys are full of nonsense, Dave. You haven't said a single thing. Paige hasn't said a single thing either.
You don't have to be the say all or be all of everything that's going on, Jeff. You're saying that it either has to be my way
saying
or the
1
highway.
+ 1 = 2 is the end all be all of everything going on. Give me a break. All right, we got to get to more of a commercial. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Well, we've really got the text messages going
Yeah, we have.
here.
This is fun. Y'all are great.
Holy cow! Look. This is
really cool.
We have people that cannot say 1 + 1 = 2. I've got all these text messages coming in about theorems. Okay, whatever. This is the point I'm trying to make, is we don't even know what we're educating kids anymore. Because in one capacity, it's my truth and your truth and all that stuff. So that's a weird thing to educate people, is that you're just full of a whole bunch of whatever personalized truths you want to come up with. But then, two, we have a society that can't even say 1 + 1 = 2, and I think that it perfectly explains why we keep electing Democrats. And our society is crumbling. Education is about the passing on of truth from one generation to the next with the intent of forming good citizens. It's that simple. Let's go to Jamie in Denver. Good morning, Jamie. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. I do have a question here that was posed to me or suggested to me. And in this case, I just want to address higher education, university and college education, which is what I think Jeff started off this discussion with. And that is, and also I want to separate it from physical truths, like math, and more metaphysical, philosophical truths, which you find mostly in colleges. Do you think education of that sort, regardless of what it is a form of indoctrination?
Yeah, so I disagree with the notion that education should just teach people how to think. I think that's a giant waste of time. I want my kids to know what to think with regards to math, science, history, literature, music. I mean, there's quality music, and then there's just random instruments playing. And I think it's fine to teach kids to go, that's quality music, and that's a bunch of noise.
Where I would submit that it's better to let the kid determine what they like. And that's okay. And the reason, and I understand, and Jeff's rubbing his face right now, but remember, at one point in our society, it was a universal truth that those of us that had more melanin in our skin were subhuman. You came from a different branch of the evolutionary scale, and so it was okay to treat
Bill,
you awful.
If my truth thinks that melanin matters, then shouldn't my truth matter?
I know, but where I'm going with this is that at one point, hang on a sec, that at one point was a universal truth, and it is only through our critical reasoning skills and the way to think that we actually got to where we are today. It's only because of us being able to think about it and how to think about it. It's because of the critical reasoning skills we got there, that we didn't just stop there and say, well, it's a universal truth. We stop here and don't do anything else. It's different.
It matters because there is a truth at the end. That melanin doesn't matter. Sorry.
But at one point it was true. At one point that was supposed to be true, though.
It was argued that it was true, but it was wrong.
But it was held as true in society at the time. We have states that broke away based on that very idea, and they said it was true.
Was it?
No, but that's the point. That's my point.
The point is that there was a truth.
That's my point.
Jeff, I need some Okay, please, Jamie. I'm going to lose my mind here today, but Jeff's going to join us in a second. Jamie, please go.
Thank you, Jeff. Let me pose this question. What is the difference between indoctrination and education?
That is a great question.
Okay.
I think that there's an element of, one, lack of critical reasoning, but indoctrination seems to be forced belief outside of truth, right? Because if a kid believes that 1 + 1 = 2, we wouldn't say that's indoctrination, would we?
I see. Mm-hmm.
But if we taught the kid that this is good music and this is bad music, that could be a form of indoctrination.
Interesting.
You don't think there's a universal element of quality music that makes something quality music?
Yeah, I do think there are some universal elements that make things quality music, but people are going to have different variants on what they like. And the idea for me is indoctrination is telling you what to think, not how to think. Indoctrination would be the delineation of saying, this is good music, this is bad music.
But your how to think requires a foundation of truth about what is good music. Because if I just grab a saxophone and start playing, it doesn't matter. That's not good music.
Yeah, and that's where we get into musical theory. Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Thanks for the call. And that is how to think about music.
But there's.
Not what
I
to
think you
about
guys
music.
are mixing up opinion and truth here.
No, I think you are, but that's okay. And then again, here's the show. It's like the theme of the show.
I'm the one who thinks that 1 + 1 = 2. So you're listening
Only
to Jeff
sometimes.
and Bill.
This is